we're going to talk about the top 5 epics in Rise of Kingdoms. We'll give you the best talents that you should be using, and we'll even give you an order that you should go and invest in them. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, a sponsored content creator for Rise of Kingdoms, and today, we have got to refresh our epic tier list. We last did this about 6 or maybe even 8 months ago, so we are definitely overdue. If you like Rise of Kingdoms guides that help you get value and smash your enemies, then hey, consider smashing that subscribe button for daily Rise of Kingdoms videos. We're going to be talking about the following. First up, we'll have honorable mentions, then the top 5 with talents, then we'll give you the exact order that I think you should be investing in epics in Rise of Kingdoms in 2021, and we will have, of course, timestamps so you can jump to whichever portion you want. Those are in the description, and you can also see them if you just scroll along the timeline. Let's get this started with the honorable mentions. These are commanders that don't quite make the top 5, but are definitely noteworthy. The first one is Baibars. He may not be one of the top 5 epics, although some folks maybe would put him there. He has an area of effect damage that is exceptional, hitting up to 5 targets, rocking out 1000 damage factor per target, and decreasing their march speed. Yeah, he's really good. The cavalry tree, the skill tree, the conquering tree, all exceptional. The only thing I don't particularly like about this commander is this very strange city hitting skill, which you're honestly not going to use all that much. But if you are a free-to-play player and you're looking for something to bring to the Ark of Osiris for a middle brawl, Baibars is a really great choice. The other honorable mention that we have cooked up for you today is Osman. Man, Osman does so much damage. And we recently did a commander guide dedicated to Osman. I'll have a card up in the top if you want to check that out. The thing that makes him so powerful is this third skill. 400 damage factor every time a skill is used. That's the primary commander and your secondary commanders. That's 800 damage factor per skill cycle. That is important because unlike other commanders, Osman's damage scales up a lot when you generate more rage. For that reason, when he's paired with commanders like Saladin or Khan, he is going to do way more damage than he would have previously, and it is very exceptional. That said, I don't know that most free-to-play players should be going in on the all-damage plan. I don't know that most players should be going in on Khan these days, although I do like the idea of a Saladin Osman. If you're bringing a small number of marches, I would argue that you might be better off with like Saladin with some amount of AoE, like say a Baibars. So I like the Osman. I just don't know that there's an ideal situation for him in Rise of Kingdoms at this exact moment, especially for a free-to-play player. It's time that we start into our top 5 list. And at number 5, we've got an epic that I don't know how you'll be able to obtain it going into the future. That's Diao-Chan. Diao-Chan is the highest single target damage epic in Rise of Kingdoms, passing even Osman. And that is pretty freaking wild. She's got 1,600 damage from the active skill. Crazy. The problem is that it happens over 4 seconds. And that is a huge downfall. The reason this is an issue is that, man, if you've seen me try to use Frederick I in the battlefield, your opponent could walk away before you finish dealing all that damage that you were trying to deal, which is a big problem, actually. Like, you lose out on a lot of damage with skills that deal that damage over time. So Diao-Chan makes the list because her kit is really good. And although maybe technically the Osman might be able to crank out slightly more damage because he has 2 skills dedicated toward doing damage, honestly, the rest of Diao-Chan's kit is very, very impressive. She's got 20% of stats for literally whatever unit you want to bring. She's also doing a heal. 500 healing factor every 5 seconds at most is really quite good. And it scales up with Lu Bu, which I think most people won't use with her. But I think she is definitely deserving of this spot on the list. And she is a peacekeeper rather than a city hitting commander to boot. So you actually could use her for barbing, which is what I'm doing right now. slowly leveling her up. Now, spoiler alert, we'll show you the talents I would recommend for her a little bit later in the video. It's basically going to be the same as Joan of Arc talents. So spoiler alert, Joan of Arc will be on this list. But there are essentially two configurations for Diao-chan. You're either going all in on barbing, making your way all the way up to curing chant, after first you've picked up rejuvenate, and then getting some talents off to the side for elixir and counterattack. Because she has the integration tree, unless they rework this sometime soon, there's really only a small number of builds you can use, but we'll get to those Joan of Arc builds in just a bit. The second epic that makes this list is one that is also very hard to obtain right now, and that is Kira. Now, you can obtain her consistently from Soroli, but getting her early is not possible because you've got to get those sculptures over time from Soroli every month over month over month, and usually it's like once every month that this event is showing up, maybe once every 3 weeks. So she is going to take a very long time to expertise, which is unfortunate because if you could expertise her sooner, you would definitely use her much sooner. Her damage is a little bit out of control, and literally in my last season of KVK, we're talking, what are we up to now? KVK season 6? It's a little crazy. Is it? Yeah. KVK season 6. Wow. There was someone with a top tier Canyon team. I'm talking like, I've got access to all these legendaries, and there was someone with a top tier Canyon team and they used Kira. Ridiculous. How does that even work? And why should you probably be using Kira in your Canyon team if you are free to play and you're still early into the game? I'll say that her area of effect damage is impressive. It's 3 targets, which is fantastic, and it is a solid amount of damage factor. In addition, the damage over time added to that is a big deal. So we're looking at a cool 1,400 damage factor per target. And yes, that does scale down based on the number of targets that you're hitting, but that's still really good. Also, she's giving 20% of stats, which is a fine amount. That's a totally fine amount of stats to be giving. And she has a way to increase her own skill damage for a brief period of time. So if I remember correctly, it was Kira paired with Isong, and I just couldn't believe that the two were paired together. But yeah, no, boosting Isong's skill damage seems really good. It seems really good given how many targets the Isong can hit. So I like Kira. She is very exceptional as an archer commander. However, most players realistically, practically, won't be able to use her in a time frame where they would really get a lot of value from her above and beyond what you might normally expect from an epic. So you should still work on her, but she's a late game addition for most folks, and here are a couple builds. Up first is a peacekeeping build. This is what I use to go smash barbs. Start by getting rejuvenate, make your way over to thoroughbreds, then trophy hunter, and then finish off with curing chant. Another build you could use if you wanted a faster moving archer march for barbing. And, you know, I get that a lot of people just smash calves with every march they're using for barbing, but if you're trying to find a way to kind of weaponize some archers, here's a build that I think is better for all archers. You would go all the way over to rejuvenate, then you'd make your way to thoroughbreds and also, of course, trophy hunter for extra value. From here, you have a few choices. If what you really care about is march speed, so that your archers are keeping up with the rest of your barbing marches, make your way all the way over here to the march speed in the archer tree. Really solid, 12% easy pickup. From there, you make your way to curing chant to round things out. The final build we have for Kira is a canyon build. And I feel like you'll have plenty of other commanders that you will have lined up to use as primary commanders by the time you're ready to use an expertise Kira in Canyon. However, the all-in archer play is what I would recommend. Here's the way that I did it. There's 2 points of flex here where you could have said, actually, I'll put those into additional skill damage. It kind of depends on who you're going to pair her with to make that more valuable, potentially. Like Kira Kusunoki would get more value from latent power for sure. As always, start by getting rejuvenate, then make your way to the top of the archer tree, and then from there you've got some choices, although for Canyon especially, I would not miss out on Heraldic Shield, reducing the skill damage you take by 6%. The next commander in our list is still used by endgame players in Ark of Osiris. It's Belisarius. Belisarius, and man, It's really because of this one thing right over here. After leaving battle, troops march speed gets increased by 50%. Man, can you make a getaway with the Ark of Osiris that is just completely out of control? It's completely out of control and fantastic. His debuffs are solid. His damage is low. He's also a peacekeeper, which is great if you're going to run around battling barbs. To give you a few builds for Belisarius, here is a peacekeeping build that I personally have used. Do I think it's perfect? I don't know. Do you really need to reduce the attack of the target? I guess the higher tier barbs are a good bit tougher. Make sure that you go and you get thoroughbreds first, then trophy hunter. I think if you wanted, you could try to get some extra rage gen, but I would just make my way first to curing chant, then round things out by going up to the cavalry tree. And you could put 1 point into cavalry early if you found you needed some march speed, but I would actually recommend you do the extra march speed last. And the reason is that after Belisarius kills something, he's going to go really fast. So when you're running around barbing, you actually find yourself in a situation where Belisarius could go too fast rather than too slow. So the march speed points that we have in the mobility tree, you'd probably want to do last. Now, as I mentioned, this is a commander that is really good in Ark of Osiris. So here is a build. I know there are several that you could use for moving very quickly. This is the fastest march speed build in the game, but you could make an argument for getting some other points like swiftness and shifting things around, like potentially dropping off time management because it slows you when you're in combat, even though you're faster when you're out of combat. There are certainly some other approaches you could consider for Ark of Osiris. The final build that we have for Belisarius, it's just an open field brawling build. And I don't know that he's really the best commander for open field brawling. I prefer the skill tree for the rage gen if you wanted a great primary. But if you wanted to run around during Mightiest Governor and wreck some stuff, ooh, you're jumping from resource node to resource node. This talent right over here, Hasty Departure, is going to be exceptional for you. And you'll get a bunch of march speed. And you'll also get the benefit of a little bit of a boost for the start of fights, and that's all you need. You're going to smash some gatherers real fast and then move on to the next one. This build will definitely get you some value. It's time, however, that we make our way into the top two. The top two. Now, you already know one of the commanders in that list, so we may as well talk about her now. Number 2 is Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc. Man. I don't know if it's good or bad that her buff is so powerful that you probably use her over legendary commanders. Probably a good thing. However, let me tell you, it's all about this buff. The other thing that Joan of Arc does, which people will underestimate, is really boost the normal attack damage. And the terminology for normal attack and counterattack is very confusing, I find, because this skill, and we have proven this in other videos, card up in the top if you'd like to see this, this one skill right over here is going to boost the damage you deal to the target you're choosing and to everyone who hits you. You do more. So this is like counterattack and the damage you deal when you are targeting somebody, and it's that white number. It's a big deal. It's a lot of damage. She's also got a little bit of a heal, and this is maybe the worst heal in the game, but it is still a heal. And when you pair with a commander like Constantine, which I get that most players won't have Constantine for a very long time, but it's just shockingly tanky. It is shockingly tanky. And people have to deal with it, otherwise those buffs are really pretty game-changing. So I like the Joan of Arc. She is fantastic. She doesn't make number 1, but she is quite strong. If you are using her as a primary, a couple builds for you. This first build is for one troop type. This is the build I used when I was using Joan of Arc with Takeda. And that might sound weird, except that it was really good. Takeda is really tanky. Joan of Arc is really tanky. The support tree, really good to have as the primary commander. Joan of Arc actually does bring a lot, even though the integration tree kind of sucks. And this is a build you would also use on Diao Chan if you were using her as a primary. The other build you could use for battling is a mixed troops build. And there are so few places to put your talent points. I even have to drop some here into the gathering tree just to get stats, which is an indication of just how awkward it is to use a commander like Joan of Arc as a primary. With that said, if you are making either of these builds, start by going to Rejuvenate, then probably make your way over to Emergency Protection. Then you would go over to Fresh Recruits, and from there you've got options for what to do next, following along with the rest of the guidance for the build. However, the final build I guess I have to give here is a Gathering build. There's a non-trivial chance that you're going to use her for Gathering at the start of the game, and that's exceptional. Just focus on the Gathering tree. You don't need any of the other talents over here. You go all in on Gathering, making your way first to Superior Tools. And I guess along the way, you'd get more the better as a priority. The last thing you pick up is Modified Axle and Tourniquet once you've taken them to level 37 to get all the other important Gathering talents first. You really don't have to take Gatherers above level 37. I have because, I don't know, I got nothing else to do. It should, however, be no surprise that the #1 commander in this list is Sun Tzu, baby. Sun Tzu. He slices, he dices, he does area of effect damage, he garrisons, he reduces damage taken, he boosts the damage you deal, he generates rage, he does it all. Sun Tzu is exceptional. You will use Sun Tzu throughout the game. You'll use him to defend your city and in the open field. If you wanted some talents for this commander, here are a few builds I can wholeheartedly recommend, and I've got a lot of experience with them. The first build here is a Canyon-oriented build. No March speed. You're using him as a primary commander in Canyon, and you want maximum value. This is it. Start by getting Rejuvenate. From there, there's a debate that could be made if you're better off going first to Hold the Line and Strong of Body and getting all of these great talents in the infantry tree, or if you should fill out the skill tree first. I'm going to make the argument that the infantry tree is the better starting point after you've picked up Rejuvenate. Looking to a field-oriented build, we've carved off a lot of those points in the skill tree and put them into things that give you March speed or manipulate March speed. We get a lot of extra March speed boost in the right side of this tree, and in addition, we're reducing the March speed of the enemy because, hey, if you don't want them to run away when you're beating them down, am I right? The other thing I'll call out is we put one point into latent power. This is really a point of flex. I still really like Heraldic Shield and also Tactical Mastery. And if you're looking for just a blueprint of what you would expect to see in the skill tree in a lot of cases, it really is what I've placed right over here in the skill tree. This is a common blueprint for many talent builds. The final build I'll recommend here is what I called my old school city defense build. I actually have spent a lot of time with builds on Sun Tzu, way more in depth than I think we've done here. So I'll have a card up in the top if you'd like to see that video. But this is a city defense build that assumes you might just get swarmed. And if you really wanted to go all in on the swarm plan, you would actually drop a bunch of points and go for Know Thy Enemy. But I don't think we necessarily want to go all in on that plan. There's probably, depending on your power, a better chance you get rallied, and this build will be better against a rally. We've gone in for as many points as we could, not in the infantry tree, because your city is going to have a blend of units. So we focus primarily on the skill tree because the stat points here boost all unit types, which is going to give you more value than you'll get from the infantry tree. Now, as far as the order goes for investing in your epics, unfortunately, Diao-Chan and Kira aren't really available as early epics that you can invest in. So my recommendation is that you start with either Boudica or Sun Tzu. Honestly, the order in which you work on these two commanders is kind of interchangeable. I personally prefer doing Boudica first, unless you're really worried your city is going to get hit in the first weeks of the game, then sure, do the Sun Tzu first and you'll use them on your wall. I like having the Peacekeeper be one of the first commanders that I focus on because you're going to be getting 20% bonus experience for the rest of the time you're playing the game. That seems really good. The third commander I would expertise as an epic is actually Joan of Arc. And she's important. She's great. Buffing is really good. That's not something you need in the first week or 3 or 4 of your playing this game. You'll use that much more later, but she will be a very good commander to invest in early. From there, you've just got a lot of choices. You could do Kusunoki, You could do Belisarius to get another Peacekeeper if you wanted. There's honestly, from that first blueprint of Boudica, Sun Tzu, Joan of Arc, from there, it's really hard to go wrong, and you'll have every epic expertise. I'm told these days it's done in like the 6 to 9 month time frame. So you'll have them all done if you're committed to this game. And this is the sort of game you play not to try to be the most powerful in, you know, a day or a week or a month, but over time, you're trying to get value with your account slowly over a long period of time because you just enjoy playing and collecting stuff. But that's enough for one video. If you enjoyed this, do me a huge favor, throw a like onto here. It supports the channel, which helps out a ton. And consider subscribing. And if you're looking for more guides about epic commanders, I'll have a card up in the top with my epic commander playlist. Until next time, my friends, you have fun, smash in the kingdom, and leave a comment on this video for what sort of stuff you'd like me to make a video on next.